Whew, that one stings. On July 15th, Chiron stations retrograde. We haven't talked a whole lot about Chiron on my channel yet, and so I'm excited to share what I've grown to understand about this maverick celestial body. So Chiron for me is the process of healing. Chiron, it is commonly understood to be the wound, to represent the wound that we can never fully heal. We are all human beings. We are all mortals, no matter what kind of circumstances we're born into. Suffering and things going wrong or not according to quote unquote plan, it happens to everyone. And so we all have a Chiron somewhere in our chart. And and that Chiron placement can tell you a lot about that wound that you carry, the one that never fully heals, the one that is constantly breaking back open time and time again to impart new perspectives of wisdom about that experience that we can't quite forget. So when Chiron stations retrograde on July 15th, it's going to kind of bring up this story again. And if you watch my new moon video, you'll remember that the new moon was squaring Chiron. So this new moon that we are still in a new moon phase on was all about the past and retrieving bits of information from the past and helping us to reframe that story a little bit. So that theme is going to really intensify around this date. So from the new moon leading up to this, and probably all week, we're going to feel it. Chiron is really about your story. Every hero, the archetypal myth of the hero's journey. The hero sets out and is excited to take on the world, and there's innocence and there's vivaciousness, and then the hero gets knocked down. And it's very often at this stage where the world kind of knocks us down and levels us and reminds us like we're human. We all have flaws, we all have blind spots. There are things that happen in life that are unfair. And it can take a lot to kind of come back from that. And the hero never fully recovers. And that's very much part of this Chiron energy, is that when we think about healing in terms of making it as good as new, it doesn't always work like that. So part of the Chiron process is these constant adjustments in our perspective and in our stance with this particular experience. And so this Chiron retrograde is going to bring that up in a very acute way for many of us. You might not feel this. If you haven't had your Chiron experience yet, you may not feel this very much. Chiron can also show up in other ways though. But first I want to finish this part, this thought. So it could bring up the past. It could bring up the wound for us around this week and offer us fresh perspectives if we're doing the work. It may reveal another layer that it's ready to be uncovered. If you haven't been doing the work, understandable. This stuff is challenging. It's can be painful. But the Chiron station might say, hey, it's time to call the therapist. It's time to finally do it. So that's a little bit of that story. Chiron can do other things as well. Chiron can bring in mentorship themes. So there's a retrograde. Maybe it's time to call your life coach back, or call the person who had a lot of influence on you and gave you a lot of direction, maybe not a parent, maybe some kind of teacher or mentor, that kind of thing. So there's a recall happening here. Someone to help offer perspective for where you are in your life, no matter where you are in your life. So that's a little bit about Chiron stationing retrograde, and that is happening, of course, in Aries. Chiron is still in Aries, and that was your Chiron retrograde astrology shot of the day. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're looking for more astrology in your world, you can join me on Instagram, Twitter, or Patreon at AstroCatherine. You can also check out my website where you can book your astrology reading, and be sure to check out my roster of upcoming astrology courses.